What time is it?
I'm here to stand up for wrestling. I am here to give the fans a voice.
If you're not watching the promotion right now, you're missing out on something. I think that could possibly shape the future of wrestling, and I mean this wholeheartedly, for the next 5 to 10 years.
Nobody can touch me. Nobody is better than Adam Cole.
This company is still existing, yet they have to do this at the 11th hour to make sure that they run these tapings. I thought TNA was going to be different, and I guess not.
This is truly the Kevin Owens Show.
Pentagon Jr. is the wind beneath my wing. The only thing that we get at 10 for sure, maybe at 11, is Ken Shamrock showing up.
So, Daniel, how excited are you to be part of the Cruiserweight Classic?
Oh, I mean, I think this whole thing is awesome. The whole concept is awesome of the Cruiserweight Classic. You bring in independent guys from all over the world, literally. Like, I'm excited to see the guy from, there's a guy from Chile here. Like, what? There's wrestling in Chile? And not only is this, it's not like his first rodeo. He's been to Japan, he's all that kind of stuff. And we really get a chance to see wrestlers from all over the world who are all the best where they're at come here and compete and in front of a WWE audience on the network. I mean, I think that's super cool and a huge opportunity for these guys. I think Kota Ibushi, when people see him, he's going to knock their socks off. You know what I mean? A guy like Zack Sabre Jr., who has a very British technical style. Drew Gulak, a very old school type style, not what you think of when you think of cruiserweights, but so technical and so crisp. And then, the guy who I want to win the whole thing because he's my friend and I had my very first match against him is Brian Kendrick. We came up together, right? I've wrestled him or been in tag matches with him in hundreds of matches. I mean, it's really cool to see these guys getting this kind of chance.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Deezer.
Hello and welcome to Wrestling Max episode 200, part 2. We are the Ever Wrestling Fan Podcast, and we're in partnership, of course, with ForumMania.com and LastWordOnSports.com. And we are brought to you by that W2M network. And did I lose you for a second there, Gary? I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you did. I don't know what happened. Here we are, guys. I'm glad I'm here. We almost missed the train on that, right? Technical difficulties right when the show starts, not a good sign, but hey, I'm glad we're at least here together, and this is going to be a great episode, guys. We have a lot of stuff coming on this episode that you're going to be very interested in. Of course, you know what has been the news of the week. Roman Reigns suspended 30 days for wellness. That's going to be a big topic on today's show. Plus, we're going to get into some other great things with Ring of Honor. They got some big news. Hey, they got a way that you're going to be able to watch their show more available if you're not, usually get a chance to watch it. Plus, we've got some other great news things in, store for you guys. Plus, we're talking, Lucha Underground, we're talking NXT, we're talking TNA Impact Wrestling, so we've got some great stuff in store when it comes to reviewing a few of these shows. Plus, we're also crowning a Superstar of the Week, so got a lot of cool stuff. I mean, just too much for me to really break down every single thing, but once again, just want to let everybody know, of course, Sean introduced it as this is part 2 of episode 200. We kind of talked on Monday at length about the significance of it to us, but I just want to throw out there a couple of things. We are not only just so thrilled that we made it to episode 200, but I want to also congratulate my co-host, of course, Sean Garmer, who's been here since day one with me, and Paul, who's been a part of this train forever. I mean, almost all of it now, which is awesome. I mean, this is great, guys, and I couldn't ask for two better guys to do a show with. I mean, we complement each other, I think, if you ask me personally. Sean does almost all the legwork for this show, plus he does a ton of stuff for the W2M network, helping those shows along. And, man, he's just the brain and the life of this. I come with maybe some comedy, a few jokes here and there, and Paul, He's the man. He's got, the wrestling brain. He breaks things down. He's probably the best at predicting things out of all of us. So I think we all have a piece of this puzzle, Paul. I mean, I'm just thrilled that I'm along with the ride with you, man.
I mean, really, I'm pretty sure I do the least out of everybody here. So really, it's my pleasure. But man, 200 episodes it's really. I think I've been here for maybe 150 of them, like we talked on Monday. But man, it's. I tell you what, I mean, we talked about us can't believing that we're still here, and it still boggles my mind. I mean, we're almost 4 years. It's insane.
It is. It's insane, and I'm just glad you're still with us. I thought me and Sean were going to run you off eventually. I thought, man, Sean, one day we're going to get the phone call. You guys, I'm going to do something else. I got somebody else who wants to hook me up with another show. And of course, Sean, I mean, you do so much, man. You could do probably way better than me, but this is great.
I don't know what you're talking about, Gary. You're my best friend. I can't do this without my best friend here. It's not, I think people sometimes don't understand that Gary, he is the thing that makes this whole thing work, because when Paul and I are being a bit serious, Gary's the one that always comes in and gives us the comedy to make us laugh and understand that this is just wrestling and that we're all here having a good time, so and that's the best thing that I love about it, is that it's two friends, it's people that we all enjoy wrestling, and we've made Gary a bigger wrestling fan because of this and enjoying different kinds of wrestling. I think if Gary never did this podcast, I know that Gary maybe he'd watch Lucha Underground because it's very much of what Gary's into. But I think other than that, I think Gary wouldn't be watching the other stuff he watches now and kind of appreciating wrestling as a whole. So I think we've all grown through this, and hopefully you guys have been able to appreciate the podcast for what it is and be able to learn something more about wrestling other than just that WWE bubble that it's very hard to get out of sometimes.
Very
especially
true.
Here in the States.
Yeah.
Yes, especially here in the States.
I agreed. So, I mean, once again, it's just a privilege. I'm great. I've got two awesome friends here. I get a chance to every week, now twice a week, to talk wrestling with. This is great, and we love doing this for you guys, and we hope you enjoy every episode. And hey, do us a favor, share it, tell people about it. Our group continues to grow and grow and grow, and it's doing its own job getting the word out. But hey, do us a favor. If you know of someone at work or someone there, that really enjoys wrestling, say, hey guys, I know a show that you may be interested in, because there's a lot of people out there who just don't get the opportunity to look up things. They just don't know. So it's word of mouth always is a good thing. So once again, we're thankful that we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into this. We got a lot of quick hits plus this big topic to jump into. So let's go ahead and start this thing off with some quick hits, guys.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Here we are, and it's time to talk Roman Reigns. And yes, we get to come to the game a little later because this happened pretty much after we did our Monday show. There we go. We get the news. That's the way it always works out for us. We get done with one show, the biggest piece of news comes out that the day after, maybe even hours after at times. But Roman Reigns has been suspended for 30 days from WWE because of wellness. Now, it has been unspecified exactly what the reasons of wellness that he may have had a conflicts with. We've hearing rumors of possibly some testosterone that is elevated. I don't know. That's just a rumor. Until they come out and tell us, we don't know. This is a big deal, though. This really is because, Roman Reigns is kind of that next John Cena. He's up there. He's supposed to take the Raw brand, apparently, is what we keep hearing when the brand split happens. And he's supposed to be one of the biggest faces of this company and probably the heir apparent for John Cena's spot when John Cena finally takes off and does tons more movies and whatever else he plans to do with his life. Paul, this came to a surprise for me, especially since, I figured that, they would find a way to bury this kind of stuff, but they can't. And this is a publicly traded company. They can't hide this stuff anymore.
Yeah, they broke the news on their own website, if that tells you anything. And boy, howdy, what a day on social media was Tuesday. Facebook exploded, my Twitter exploded, my Instagram, which is bowling related, exploded. I'm like, how did this even get here? It was nuts. The jokes were outstanding. We had ourselves a good time in the W2M group. And, man, I tell you what, this is absolutely incredible. I wouldn't have known Sunday that, after Money in the Bank went off, that Roman Reigns was in violation of the wellness policy. But, here we are Tuesday night after Raw, and, they have him in the triple threat, which apparently that hasn't been changed according to SmackDown. So just where you go from here, does he still get the push? I mean, I think that's the biggest question on everybody's mind. What do you think, Sean?
After this, they've de-pushed UO4 because of this, but the thing is, Roman Reigns is the biggest guy that's ever been given a wellness violation. That we know of, that they haven't done before. They might have tried to do this undercover before, but since they've been very public about it, there has never been a guy this high up on the food chain, and Randy Orton was not where he is now when he was getting his strikes. Jeff Hardy was very popular, but he still wasn't, doing this. And WWE did the right thing here, making sure that they got him before this big pay-per-view they're doing. But I just, the thing is, Rollins and Reigns are always supposed to be on the same show. So it's possible that now Rollins is the champion going into that first Raw after the draft and into the brand extension, and you have Dean be the SmackDown champion, or Cena's the SmackDown champion, or AJ's the SmackDown, whatever they're going to do with that. The news has always been that it's going to be Rollins and Reigns on the same show on Raw. So I'd imagine that the only way you could really punish him right now, and I think giving him the title back immediately sends a terrible message to your workers. But, this is Vince, and he's going to do things the way he wants to.
Yeah, you're exactly right on that. And it is really, bringing up a lot of questions now because of that reason. And what does Vince really want to do from here? What kind of direction can they go in? The reason we kind of talk about this really primarily is because of that roster behind behind the scenes. Let's be honest, guys. There's a lot of respect going back and forth between those guys, and they're going to lose respect for Reigns if he gets off the hook too easy because of his status. You're going to have people talking about the fact that maybe they don't allow him to get a title for a while, or they put him in a situation that they would a guy like, Big E. Let's say Big E got popped for wellness. They would, probably pressure, the same thing that Big E would be getting for Roman Reigns. So I think they're trying to make sure it's fair, but the company also wants to protect their asset. They want to make sure that Roman Reigns is in the limelight. They want to make sure that he's always up front. People pay attention to him. But how do you really punish this guy? So, Paul, you were talking about the push. Does the push kind of stall? Where do you really see this going from here? Are you going to immediately say, you know what, we've got to find a way to take him out of this main event because really, we wouldn't put anybody else in a big pay-per-view main event if it was them?
I think at this point, you leave the main event for Battleground alone. And maybe you just change around the finish. So instead of that double pin I was talking about, maybe you just have Seth win. Dean goes off to SmackDown. You do a tournament there. Or you let Dean and Seth double pin Roman. That's a pretty strong way to send out that, hey, man, you mess around and we're going to start taking stuff from you. So that way you have Dean with the SmackDown title. You have Seth with the Raw title. Away you go. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, I don't think they can. They set the stone on Raw. I don't know if they're going to change that. I don't think they will. Obviously, you can keep Reigns hanging around the main event scene. I don't think you give him the title for the rest of the year, though.
I don't know about the rest of the year. I think they're going to eventually have to go whatever plan they had at some point. But yeah, you have to send some kind of message, and not just taking the belt away on Money in the Bank, which we still don't know if that had to do with the wellness policy or if that was all about, hey, we've got this thing we want to do, this storyline we want to do. So That's something that's been speculated about as well. And that's the thing that Meltzer and other people are saying that WWE knew beforehand. They just waited. They waited till now. I think they might have known a couple days before. Not everybody knew, just some people knew, and they decided to just go ahead and do it on Monday. There have been other times where they waited until a storyline was done before they went ahead and, I think with Jeff Hardy, they waited till his storyline was done, then they suspended him. So it's not like it has to be immediate. It's not like in other sports where, okay, well, you're suspended right now, you can appeal if you want to, but right now you're suspended.
Well,
Vince still has the.
He has to say, but don't they have a rule that he does have the right to get another test within a certain time frame?
He does, but this might have been one of those things where we don't. And that's the thing. I don't want to speculate on what it is. And I think the people that just think this is the greatest thing ever. I think he's not going to be there for the entire build, and that's going to be okay because you'll just get more Rollins and Ambrose, and that's fine. But it does hurt the match in a way because the story is between the three of them. The story is the Shield. And so I wanted to see how this was going to continue to play out. I think, personally, I hate the fact that this happened right now because this triple threat match is big. This triple threat match is, I don't know if they're going to do what Paul was saying or not. His idea that he said on Sunday of, are they going to do the double pin and have both guys pin Roman or both guys pin Dean or whatever, and you have two champions and that's how we get two titles. I mean, who knows what they decide to do? They've not really done that before. They just give the title to somebody or they do a tournament, so it's going to be interesting. But the other thing too is, WWE kind of has an actual logistical reason why they could say, look, we're going to go in a different direction for a little bit, Roman, and see if we can get you heated up again, or we can get, maybe you really embrace that heat, or, whatever. His house shows were doing badly. Mm-hmm. And, now he's getting booed at the house shows, which makes people not want to go. So, he's not the first guy ever to have that happen. Many champions have had that happen to them, and you can say it's very antiquated to blame it on one guy, but that's kind of how it is when you're the champion. What do you guys think? Do you think this is maybe a good idea to kind of say, okay, Roman, we're taking this belt off you, let's see what happens with Dean having it?
Man, when you're the champ, they often say you're the guy responsible for putting the butts in the seats. If you're not doing it at the house shows, which is where WWE counts on making a lot of its money, that's a problem. Obviously, they're going to address that, whether this title switch was the reason or the wellness policy violation, whatever. I think Dean draws. I don't think Dean draws as well as they want, and they have nobody to blame but themselves for that. But ultimately, where all this leads is we're close to the brand split. We're having all of these things sort of pop up. I'm curious how much faith they lose in Roman after this. I think that's the biggest question. Do they decide to go heel with him now and scratch the babyface idea for now? Do they even come close to pushing anybody else this hard again? Because obviously this is the hardest they pushed somebody, I think, since Cena, and they got burned pretty bad here. So lots of big questions.
That's the thing I was going to ask you, Gary, is do you think that this could be like a blessing in disguise of maybe you bring back heel Roman? He comes back and he's heel Roman.
You know what? That would be great, and I would love the idea, but, they've been so staunch on not allowing that to happen. Now we have kind of see Roman kind of yell at the fans, but I think WWE's thought process on yelling at the fans is, hey, let's make the fans the bad guys and let Roman stay a good guy. That's how they're trying to work that, but that is a good point, and I would love to see that happen, but I'm still not sold they're ready to do that. I really feel like they think no matter what, this guy is their babyface. They're going to do it. They're going to make it happen and just go with the punches no matter what's going on. And this, I don't think is the worst thing to happen to him. He's proving that he's human. Maybe even some people have sympathy for him. Maybe some people say, "Oh, that poor guy, look what happened." Maybe we're going to jump on the Roman bandwagon, So I don't know. It's a really good question, though. But, looking at it, though, I mean, this guy is kind of what Paul was alluding to here, a guy that they needed to really evaluate, see what's going on in his personal dealings with taking supplements, whatever else he's doing that could be affecting him, because the next one, is 60 days, 90 days? A second offense, I know, is not, a light.
60.
Is it 60? Okay, because so that's a big deal. That's 2 months off TV. That's 2 months away from the company.
Without being paid, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That hurts his family. That hurts everything. But the big deal is you can't have a guy at the level of a John Cena off your TV, especially if let's just say this happened at SummerSlam. What a travesty. What a tragedy. All the above for not only the company, but for Roman Reigns if this was happening at SummerSlam, right? They can't afford for this to happen again. They've got to watch it. They've got to do all their due diligence to make sure this doesn't happen again. And if they can't trust him, if they really aren't sure, they don't need to have all their eggs in one basket. I think, Paul, you had a point there. Maybe they reevaluate that. Maybe that kind of game plan is not the smartest thing to do, But I just want to ask you, I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but this is a big deal. I mean, this is a part of WWE that really matters because this is supposed to be their future. This is the one guy that we're going to hang their hat on for years to come. If you're Vince McMahon, and you're sitting in your office and you're evaluating this and you're thinking, I've got to do A, B, and C. What would you, with Roman Reigns sitting in front of you, what would you tell him? Not just as a, character, I can't remember his real name, but what would you tell him? What would you have advice for, and what would your best plan of action be going forward?
Hey dude, don't fuck up.
That's probably what he said, but
every time somebody has a wellness strike policy, I always imagine Vince is just disappointed dad. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Because that always cuts deeper than just getting mad and screaming at people.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That, if you've... That's I don't know if you've had to run into it. I think you actually told the story, Gary, of, you going through that with Lily, she was upset that you were disappointed about something or whatever. I know I've had that with Anaya. Imagine they're, 5, Anaya's 5, and, and that still affects you even when you're older. Mm-hmm. Whether it's, especially with Vince, it's not like a regular boss where you may not give a crap about the guy and he never talks to you, whatever. Vince is a guy that, especially if you're his top guy, he's talking to you. You guys are conversing. You guys are having some sort of relationship, that is sort of like another father figure. And if you have to come into his office and he's sort of just kind of staring at you like, man, can't believe you did this, especially not right now when we're really, putting a lot of faith in you.
Yeah, exactly.
That hurts.
It does, and I agree with you guys. I mean, Vince takes this very serious because he kind of considers these guys his family. Let's be honest, this is his life. There is nothing else in this world that Vince, does really besides WWE. You don't hear about Vince going water skiing, golfing, doing all these other things that, basically rich people like him do. He doesn't go do all that. He just spends his time in his office, spends his time with people in the company. And I just kind of thought about this in my own scenario. If I'm, Vince McMahon and I'm sitting in front of, Roman Reigns, I would basically say to him, look, you screwed up. This hurts us. This hurts me. This hurts you. Think about this. Anytime that this situation comes up, I have to be the bad guy and I have to suspend you. But in the future, we're going to work past this. Me and you are going to sit down and we're going to discuss what you're doing, why you're doing it, and if it matters to our policies, how can we, make you a better person? Whatever we need to do, we've got to solve this problem. And you're our future. And if you prove to be not our future by doing this again, I'll gladly put you on Superstars, and I'll find me a new guy. I don't want to. You're the guy that we need. You're the superstar. You're already cemented pretty much in our plan. But if I've got to, I've got to. You can go enjoy the CFL. The Dallas Cowboys have guys getting popped all the time. Maybe go play defensive end for them. I mean, they're used to this. So, Reigns, just want to let you know two things. The last two things I have to say to you are very important. Okay? So the last two words are basically me saying goodbye to you until the next 30 days, and I'll see you at the next pay-per-view. Bye, Felicia. So there you
I really
go.
hope Vince uses "Bye, Felicia." I really do.
So yeah, I mean, what else can you do though? I mean, there's nothing else the man can do. He just has to see his spill, let Roman Reigns go sit on his couch, and that's the best way to father. Sometimes, not that I've had a lot of experience, but I know a lot of times when I've been told by an authority figure, yeah, I'm disappointed, I expect more out of you, and then they shut up and don't talk to me ever again about it, I go home and think about it.
Yeah.
I sit there and think about it, and I hope that's the way Vince did. I'm not talking to you until these 30 days are up. We'll get back in touch. So, I don't know. Any last things on this, guys? Anything else you wanted to bring up about this? Because and this is pretty much our biggest topic.
I mean, what do you think is going to happen in the... Let's have some humor with this, too, now. Gary, I mean, we have experience now with this draft thing. How far do you think Roman drops in the draft?
We've seen other guys that had lots of potential fall down to the second, third round. I mean, let's think about this. Former CFL, player, very important, guy when it comes to, making the ladies happy. The kids love him on the posters. So he can't fall between the second and third rounds. First round, I don't think he's a go, but yeah, second or third round.
You don't think he's the first pick of Raw anymore?
You know he is, no matter what. This is not the NFL. Yes, he is. They don't care.
What do you think, Paul? You think they might go with somebody else in that first pick, and they go, let's wait a little bit on Roman. Maybe Rollins is the first pick instead.
You see it all the time, NFL, NBA, no matter the sports league. When you have a drug problem, you fall. And, Roman Reigns, maybe guaranteed first rounder, he might have cost himself some serious money. So maybe, maybe he's not number one. Maybe he's still top 5. But he's not number 1.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I think, especially if Rollins is champion, you're going to go with your Rollins champion first. And then, Cena would be second. And then maybe, you go Dean and Roman on that third and fourth. But,
just saying, you got to look at the history of the number 1 picks in this company. I mean, this company has picked some pretty wild number 1 picks. One of them being, a former diva. So it's kind of funny the way they do these number 1 picks, John Cena was picked for SmackDown and switched to Raw last for pick. So things weird can happen. But I just don't know. Roman Reigns, he's a guy that I think they're still going to want to keep in the limelight, especially if they're got a guy suspended and they're still going to advertise him for the pay-per-view. My God. That shows.
Well, because the pay-per-view, his suspension ends before the pay-per-view.
It does, but still, to me, once again, it goes back to, if this happened to anybody else in this roster, Dean Ambrose, I guarantee you, Dean Ambrose does the same thing. I don't think that Dean Ambrose is going to get that opportunity to be 30 days out. Oh, and you still get to be in the main event. I don't imagine that. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. Now, let's take this back to that. Let people say, well, take it back to the Attitude Era. Stone Cold Steve Austin do the same thing Roman Reigns did. They would just throw him back in because he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Mick Foley, no. Mick Foley would have been benched. You know it. You know he would have been put down at maybe the second match of the night instead of being in the main event. Because, he's Mick Foley. He's not Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, it is what it is. We talked a lot about Roman Reigns. We could go on and on and on about this just like everybody else has on the internet. Let's move on and talk some other big news with WWE. WWE actually had their calendar kind of revealed, guys, and, maybe to their dismay, maybe they didn't want all this information known, but a lot of this is confirmed, and so we got more information on what's going on. Now, we do have some former pay-per-views coming our way. We, of course, have Backlash, No Mercy. The WCW Clash of the Champions is coming back. I love that.
Can we have No Mercy the video game come back? That'd be great.
I approve of that message.
Yeah, they definitely. I mean, let's get in touch with 2K.
No Mercy remastered for PS4, and we're remastering everything. Why not?
Yeah,
book that shit.
Update the roster and we're good, baby.
No, but yeah, I mean, guys, maybe 19, 20, 18 pay-per-views a year. How are we feeling about that?
Sweet Lord. If they're quality, here's the thing. I didn't have a problem with it at the beginning of the brand split, especially because they were committed to keeping them separate. Those pay-per-views felt separate, and if you followed a show, it actually felt like it was building to something that mattered. I have us doing this show, us probably still watching both brands, us still having to follow everything. I can't say I'm pumped about it from a reporting standpoint, but from a fan standpoint, I think if you find your way just into following one show, I think it's about to make your life a whole lot easier.
Not to mention the takeover specials too. So there's W weeks where we got like a zillion things going on just WWE related.
Living in that bubble.
Yeah. Hey. That's what they want you to do. They want you to live in that bubble, Gary.
I know they do. Yeah, I mean, this is exactly why they're doing it. We talked about this on Monday. I mean, they're going to get as much in front of your face as possible. That's their whole plan. I mean, WWE all the time, anywhere. That's always been Vince's plan. That's why you got the network now.
Y'all going to TLC?
I don't know.
I will be in Disney World.
Oh, you fancy pants.
Hey, you got to come visit me, Paul.
Maybe.
I love it. That's really cool, man. You'll have to let me know how the Harry Potter experience is.
I know that's in Universal, but I still want to go to that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. I get those mixed up. It's all kid stuff to me. I never followed the Harry Potter series. I apologize. Backlash. I know.
How dare you, Gary?
Fail.
Sorry.
I'm joking. I only watch the movies. So.
They Did a Girl, loved the whole series, forced me to watch the first two movies, and I tried my best to ignore them. So that's probably my hatred of them. So, but anyway, that's the way in the past. Backlash is going to be a SmackDown exclusive, guys. We also have Clash of the Champions, the former WCW champion. That was great.
And those tickets did go on sale.
Yes, they did.
That is official. Night of Champions has been switched to Clash of the Champions. Or Clash of, Yes.
Clash of the Champions. Yes, that's right. And it'll be September 25th at, what is this?
Indianapolis.
I'm trying to think where it's at. Indianapolis, that's right.
So Fonte can go. Actually, Fonte already has tickets.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be a Raw exclusive. We got No Mercy being a SmackDown show. We'll have Hell in a Cell, which will be a Raw show. We'll have Survivor Series, which will be all included. And, of course, TLC and Dallas will be a SmackDown show. We also have WWE Roadblock, which, good God, the worst thing ever. That'll be a Raw show as well.
You have the Roadblock for Christmas.
I hate that name. But anyway, so there's a few, pay-per-views just kind of throw out there for you guys.
I'd imagine that they have 2 in February. And then I would hope that they don't try to do something funny with March and make us have like 20-something pay-per-views. Just leave March and April alone. Like you have been.
Yeah.
I imagine they'd leave April alone.
Well, other than WrestleMania. But I'm talking about, I could so see them doing like a SmackDown one in early March and then doing a Raw one after WrestleMania. And then you have the 2 May ones. And it's like just to add pay-per-views. And it's like,
Yeah.
Let us have that little break.
Yeah, ultimately, I wonder if you get to a point of diminishing returns profit-wise. Obviously, you have all these people on the network now, and you're putting on all these pay-per-views. I wonder how much you're actually making back out of that by increasing your show load like this. And secondly, is Clash of the Champions, I wonder if they're going to keep to that same WCW idea where maybe the Intercontinental Champion gets the challenge for the actual World Heavyweight title or whatever belt ends up over there on Raw.
Oh, that would be cool.
That would be great. I don't know. That's a big question because
I highly doubt they will because, I know they've used network footage and all this stuff before, but will they even acknowledge the fact that there was a WCW pay-per-view called Clash of Champions or Clash of the Champions?
well, you think so? I mean, it's on their network. I mean, you would think that they would do that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Backlash one on September 11th. September 11th. Wow, they're going to actually do it. Okay. Is going to actually be network exclusive. It's not going to be on pay-per-view because they did not get the press materials out to the pay-per-view providers fast enough. So the other ones will be on pay-per-view as well, but that one's going to be the only one that's not going to be pay-per-view. So
Okay. We have some other news when it comes to these pay-per-views, the network, all that is included. We kind of talked about on Monday the possibility of there being a price change. Now we talked about $10.99 being an option, but there's more coming out about this, and it's the price tiers has been a consideration for WB. Now, this would also be based on what kind of content people want. Are they primarily watching for the pay-per-views? Do they want all the old stuff, all the original content? And, this is just a business move. George Barrios from WWE actually made the comment about this and said that basically WWE is happy where they're at right now. But as a business, they've got to consider doing things like this because, hey, that's the way businesses grow. I don't know, guys. I mean,
Netflix already has this.
Yeah, exactly. And Netflix basically does it when you're talking about DVDs in the mail, things like that. Correct? I mean,
multiple streams. If you're gonna have multiple streams or not at once.
I imagine
non-HD or
like
HD. Yeah, Hulu did the commercial where you could have no commercials for $4.
They got that Hulu Live thing coming out whenever, like the thing that's supposed to change streaming services and all.
Which
whatever.
is what exactly? Like I've heard that, but
I as far as I'm aware, they're actually going to have a streaming channel or whatever. I don't know. It's supposed to be a big deal, and like maybe you have they might start streaming next day stuff or whatever. But it's supposed to be this big deal that they're saying is going to change the way streaming services work. It's got a lot of people nervous. But with the network, I mean, I think since day one we've really known $9.99 was not going to be for life. There's no NWO involved in that.
Oh, come on, Hogan, help us out here.
Ultimately, I assume you're going to get tiers. I imagine you'll have one that's strictly on demand. I imagine you'll have one that gets you the regular pay-per-views, and then I imagine you'll have one top tier that gets you WrestleMania and all the shared stuff, and however this is going to shake out. Or maybe they actually do it via brand select. Like maybe you have one for all the Raw shows, you have one for all the SmackDown shows, you have one for everything.
Wow. As long as, if they get tiers, they don't give me tiers because I don't want to be spending $35 a month on the WWE Network. I'm just being honest. I mean, I need all this content because, of course, we, as journalists, kind of cover this. We talk about this, and we can't be missing things, but I don't want to be spending $35 a month on the WWE Network.
Gary comes out swinging with a pun there.
Sorry, I had to.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't want to spend an arm and a leg either, but I imagine they understand somewhat that you can't charge an obscene amount, especially with how cheap some of these, like CBS, I think it's $8 for theirs, and they're probably one of the most watched networks on television right now.
How?
They have all the comedies and action.
All the old people that just leave CBS on the entire night.
That's right, because
all the NCIS.
It's like golf. They just leave it on. That's how that gets ratings.
It's got to, because the only thing that's on is Big Bang. The rest of it, I don't see any appeal. But
I mean, they have football. I imagine sometime.
College football. College basketball.
They're going to do Star Trek on their streaming service, which I'm pretty pumped for. Showing my nerd cred there, but yeah, I mean. You have network like $8. I mean, Netflix is still $9.99. at your basic tier. So I mean, they can't go much more than 15. If they do, they risk alienating a whole lot of people and the ultimate collapse, I think, of the thing they've invested so much in.
Yeah.
I think you would make it really easy. You do, and look, if you make this really complicated, you're gonna get people that just don't even bother with it. So I think you have to make this very, very easy. You go $9.99 for everything that's live. $12.99 live plus new original content. $14.99 or $15.99, whatever you want to do there, is live, original, and vault content. And that's it. Don't do the tiers with the, okay, well, you'll get the B pay-per-views for $9.99, and you pay $1 more for WrestleMania and all that stuff, and then you $2 more for this. And it's like, you make it, you add 20 tiers, people are going to be like, whoa, okay, this is too much. You know, just, and like, I think they need to make this to where it's brand extension proof. Like, you don't want to do the whole, okay, well, here's all the stuff for Raw for $8.99, and here's all the stuff for, it's like, that's just too much junk to deal with, you know? It's possible, but I just see it being way too overcomplicated.
You said easy and WWE in the same sentence, and we just both know that's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
But this is business. We're not talking about the TV. We're talking about this is the business model. Like,
it's still too far a stretch. They're gonna cock this up somehow.
I mean, if you explain it all on your website, that's fine. But like trying to explain it on TV the way they explain things, you make it complicated. It's gonna be really hard for people to,
I imagine they still advertise $9.99 no matter what.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you do have like a separate thing for like, oh, well, now how you can't share accounts. Well, if you want to have multiple streams at once, you're going to pay this, and that includes this or whatever, they have to make sure they think this out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and you make a good point. I mean, you got to keep something that people will remember. They'll associate it to the network, and it's a price that people are willing to pay. I just don't think a shirt that would say $9.99 plus, another tier plus this equals this. I mean, that would be a boring shirt. Come on. So $9.99 is a good enough T-shirt. Let's don't make this complicated. Let's go ahead and, before we jump into some other rapid hits, I want to just ask, you guys a big question here, and that's the fact of what did you think about the Cruiserweight Classics announcements? Now, I asked that question along with the fact that we have the first round lineups in front of us, guys. We can all see it.
Now, these are not the brackets because you wouldn't be able to know who's going to face who after which match or whatever. So you still get the surprise of that with one of the announcements.
Exactly. But we all got a chance to check this out, Sean. And so kind of explain what you thought about it, the announcements, and, of course, this first round stuff.
Well, they did tape Cruiserweight Classic matches tonight. I don't know any of the results. Trust me, we're not giving away results. If you're in the group, please do not give away results. I posted a thread. There's a search function in every group. You press the search button. You search for, Cruiserweight Classic. It should come up there. And you can post the spoilers in there if you want. Please don't post them just randomly around the group because this is going to be really hard. And, for me that's on Twitter, I know I'm going to get spoiled because people are going to talk about this constantly. But, like, if you're trying to be on social media, at least we're going to try to make it simple for you guys not to try to be spoiled. But Mauro Ranallo was the first guy I thought of when we were talking about sports presentation. You have to have him as your lead announcer. He is your lead announcer. Daniel Bryan being in this, I think, is really cool. I just hope that he is mentally ready and that it's not going to bother him and depress him after it's over. I know maybe I'm just speaking to something I shouldn't say, but from somebody that he says he still dreams of wrestling in an interview, and we know how hard this was for him and how hard it is for him to, deal with, okay, now he basically said in an interview that he gets paid on Total Divas for you to see him live trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life. And like that, it's not a bad gig, but that's kind of sad for him. And you're seeing him go through that, and so like it's cool that he's there. Just hopefully, he could see that as, okay, this is my job, and that's what I'm doing right now. Paul, like this is crazy. This whole 205 pounds is a shoot. Like they really have people cut weight for this thing. It's crazy.
And I think in the realm of the presentation they're going for, it makes sense. It's being presented very much in a legitimate sport light. If you've watched the introductory video, the introduction video that came out that they did on Facebook Live today, it feels very much like a sports presentation. You have a guy come in, they introduce where he's from, you get his name. Ronaldo or Debray give you a rundown, a little bit about a very quick snapshot of either who they are or where they're from or what they've done, and away you go. And I think it works very well. I think Debray, obviously he was never amazing on the microphone or anything, but if you're going to present this as a legit sport, there's nobody in the world who knows more about wrestling than Debray right now. And then he also said that he's going to have oh Jesus! I'm only remembering his indie name and his WWE name right now. Announcer guy, the color guy on NXT.
Oh, Corey Graves.
Corey Graves is also going to be calling stuff with him too. So I imagine if you have that 3-man team, you'll have Corey Graves doing the color stuff. Morrow will announce, and then you have Debray throw in the wrestling stuff here and there, and you have a recipe for success.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. I like the fact that, Corey Graves is going to be a part of this. It just makes a lot of sense. And I think the way they did the announcements was perfect. I mean, like you said, very real, very, sports-esque. And that's the way this thing is going to work. I mean, especially with all the world talent they have here. I mean, it was all showcased. Man, I mean, people from all over the world were here. It was exciting to watch. And Sean, I mean, it was a great presentation. It really made me interested, especially if I was an indie fan. I really didn't like WWE style stuff. This kind of sells me on it.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, like, if you're watching this, you're getting a little snapshot of everybody, like Paul said. I'm really excited for, like, how they're going to do the bracketology thing, which is the week before the actual show starts on July 6th. This is cool that we're getting this, and we're going to get it on the network, and it really is going to make that network feel like it's totally worth that $9.99, I think, when we're done with this entire thing. And, the other thing is, too, like, a lot of these guys apparently weighed 150 pounds legit. Like, when would WWE ever bring in guys in their history that are 150 pounds? Like, think about that. Like, just... That's not the way Vince does WWE. Like, they used to have a rule with 6'2", 240. That was their rule. Think about how low they've dropped now.
What do they do to keep Vince from having a panic attack? Do they keep him in a closet
he probably just
somewhere?
doesn't know about this or knows very little. I mean, I love the story of apparently Kota Ibushi gave him a high five and he had no idea who Vince McMahon was.
What? That's awesome.
Yeah, Vince just stood there what?
I hope his first words were to Vince, "What's up, hot stuff?"
Oh boy.
He apparently was offered a full-time deal a bunch of times, and he said no, he has other stuff he wants to do in Japan right now, but I think he's part of the that big Wrestle One show that All Japan's doing with Wrestle One. So, and he's probably got other things he wants to do in Japan or whatever, but he didn't rule out signing with them later. Yeah. So,
that's
he's only here for the Classic right now.
Well, cool. I'm glad he's a part of it at least. I mean, I would love to see him stick around, but I mean, if he's only a part of this for a short term, it's better than nothing. This whole entire group here that we saw was great. I'm looking forward to this. This is beyond the feeling that I thought I would have for it. You know, when we first talked about this, I was like, great idea, cool. But watching this whole thing, the announcements, the guys come through and they really talk about it, it got me excited. I mean, it really did. I thought, man, this summer's going to be awesome. When we're all sitting here talking about wrestling, it's going to be probably one of the better summers.
And don't forget the G1's going to be going on during this time, too.
Wow.
So there's going to be 2 tournaments going on.
Yeah, so our shows are going to be long.
Yeah.
But
it just, I mean, if you want to go through this, you've got Alejandro Saez, who's from Chili's, the former extra large. He's the guy that had to cut the most weight. I think he cut like 50 pounds. Against Mascaradada Grand Metallic. Ho-Ho Lin against Davari's brother. Cedric Alexander against the French guy, Clement Lariot. And Raul Mendoza against the Brian Kendrick, who Daniel Bryan was very happy to tell you that he wants him to win. So badly. You got the Australian guy, Damian Slater, against Fajiri, TJ Perkins, and Damac. Lince Dorado against Mustafa Ali, who's the replacement for Zumbi, because don't know if Zumbi didn't cut weight or he just didn't show up for the weigh-in, or I don't know what it was. But Mustafa Ali is the freelance wrestling champion right now. It's an indie out of Chicago. Akira Tozawa against Kenneth Johnson. Apparently it's Akira Tozawa's dream to be in WWE, so Dragon Gate is very worried that he might stick around permanently afterwards.
Ouch.
He's also big-time friends with Paulo Cruz and a few others who are already there, which makes it a bit easier for Tozawa to want to stay there. Zack Sabre against Tyson Duke. Drew Gulak and Harv Shearer, Anthony Bennett and Tony Nese. Kota Ibushi against Sean Maluda. So I'm sorry, Aaron Early. Roman Reigns' cousin is already out at the beginning. It's Rich Swann against Jason Lee. Noam Dar against Gerb Shearer. Fabian Eichner against Jack Gallagher, and Tommaso Ciampa taking on Johnny Gargano. So one of them is going to be eliminated in the first round, looks like.
Mega powers explode.
Yeah.
So we got a great lineup here, I mean, and Paul had a great idea for this, and that's for us to put this on the page, for us to do the brackets, and for everybody to have the opportunity to kind of go through it and choose who they want, and just kind of do like this like we do the G1. I think it's great. It keeps you interested. It also kind of keeps us on tabs on each other. I think it's a really good idea. So we're going to work that out. That'll definitely be a part of our page. So go check that out. Join the group. I mean, if you're not a part of the group, you're missing out on this and a lot of other things. So well, let's move on to some rapid hits, guys. We got a lot of stuff to go through in a short amount of time, so let's start with this. Cody Rhodes apparently is in the sights of WWE again. They want to sign him to a Legends deal.
I'm curious how much this means in lieu of them wanting to re-sign him, or how can you return and work WWE if you have a Legends contract? I don't know if you can, or I don't know exactly what all that entails, other than, you're associated with the brand still. And I don't know if that's what they're after with how much buzz he's created on social media and stuff with his list and the insane amount of coverage all of his matches have been getting for promotions like Northeast Wrestling or Evolve or all these other places as he's about to get to go work after on August 19th moving forward.
Yeah, I think this it's not a bad thing for Cody Rhodes. You get some money. You get some extra money, and that's never a bad thing. I mean, it just depends on him if he wants to feel like I'm not taking a dime from WWE until I've done this dream list that I have, and then I'll think about it, or whatever he wants to do. I don't think it's bad at all. Why not? get some merchandise deals with you. Be in the WWE video game. Do whatever. Just I think that's cool for Cody Rhodes. I mean, if they're offering you a Legends deal, now again, like I said, a pride thing. But if that were me, be like, okay, whatever. Give me some money.
Make that money, baby. On the last episode of Access TV's New Japan, Tanahashi basically said that Goto in 2007 was his best match, but now it is really, after considering it, AJ Styles is probably one of his best matches of all time, and that AJ is one of the better wrestlers in the world. What do you think about this?
No surprise there. Two absolute beasts inside the ring. It's nice to hear it, but I mean, we've watched Tanahashi and AJ hook it up. It's magic, is what it is.
Yeah, that G1 match last year was amazing.
Huh.
And that's what they're referring to here. And the fact that, both Styles and Tanahashi have said that each other is the best wrestler they've ever faced and that they think they're the best wrestler ever. I mean, that's high praise from both men to each other. So, people already... I had to answer the question of AJ Styles the wrestler of the year right now, and it was hard for me not to say yes, it's amazing what, going to a different company and then getting to wrestle different people and you can still go out there and deliver. And I just I put this in here just to show that he's getting high praise. And the one thing that I took out, that Tanahashi sort of in a way, like almost, just almost teary-eyed at the fact that he couldn't wrestle AJ again because AJ's gone. So, just telling you how much he respected the guy and how much of a difference he's not making in WWE to just show he can go from 3 different companies and be awesome in all of them.
True enough, it is high praise if you ask me. Ricochet has a big decision to make this weekend. He is yet to sign his deal for Lucha Underground that they have offered him. I don't know. What do you think is going to happen with this?
Talk about a landscape change for Lucha Underground if Ricochet doesn't resign. They've put a lot into Puma on screen, and they have enough characters to support, him leaving and everything, but he's been a big part of their shows. So I'm curious, if he doesn't resign, obviously he's got a myriad of options because everybody wants to book this guy. But I think it's win-win for Ricochet no matter what he decides to do. But Lucha Underground, I think, has a bit to lose here if he doesn't resign.
Yeah, pretty much they're at the end of tapings this weekend. They're filming Ultimate Lucha Trace this weekend. Tres, and then after that, they go on a little sabbatical until whenever they do Season 4, which I think they might be starting that in July, if I'm not mistaken. But, his deal ends after Season 3. Now, they still have to, technically, unless WWE pays Lucha Underground so much money that Lucha Underground says, okay, you can have him now, technically WWE has to wait until Season 3 has aired before they can take him. Or at least before he can appear on their TV. But this is why it's kind of a big deal with Ricochet as far as he kind of needs to make a decision. And then also, you've got, again, like that thing we brought up before is that, his girlfriend, Tessa Blanchard, she's been appearing on NXT a lot. So if she signs with WWE, is that going to make it harder for Ricochet to... And I think he shares an apartment with Apollo Crews. So, or some kind of living situation with Apollo Crews, and I think that's part of why there's this like back and forth of what he wants to do. He's going to be one of the highest paid non-WWE guys in the entire world if he takes this Lucha Underground deal. I mean, I'm talking about big time money. And WWE's not even offering half of that. So, but then you've got the whole thing of it's WWE and, do you want to go there? So, I mean, some people, it's that thing of like sometimes if your dream's always been WWE, and especially with the way NXT is right now and the way that some guys are being used on television differently to how WWE has been in the past, it's kind of enticing sometimes to say, okay, I want to be on the biggest stage and do my thing.
Nailed it.
Ring of Honor is going by what we'd like to say the good and the bad and maybe even the ugly. Right now, Ring of Honor has some positive news for all their fans out there. If they do not have Sinclair TV in their local area, you can watch their Ring of Honor TV tapings on Monday nights live at 7 p.m. That's when it'll stream for you guys. Of course, that'll also be probably on demand on the FITE TV app, which is great. Me and Sean both will be definitely checking that out. And of course, other news though, this is maybe not on the good side. This is the negative part. This is the fact that the best in the world pay-per-view for Ring of Honor is not sold out. Now, speculation is the fact that, their former shows that were combined with New Japan talent were doing really well, but now that they don't have New Japan talent on this show, doesn't seem as interesting.
It's sort of that double-edged sword that they've been working this entire time. New Japan, of course, is insanely over with the type of audience ROH targets. So when you have guys on your shows, it's obviously a large draw. New Japan guys on your show, it's obviously a large draw. When you don't, it might seem like it's sort of secondary at this point, especially with how often they've been on Ring of Honor shows this year. The FITE TV thing is really cool. Obviously more eyes on your product is always better. I don't know how much money they're going to be making off of this, but I was just on the FITE TV website. They're advertising Best of the World on there, so I assume you can order the pay-per-view through them too if you want.
Yeah, they've had the pay-per-views for a couple months now, but this is the first time they've had the TV.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think this can be a combination of you've spent a lot of your previous television sort of milling about showing off New Japan talent and not really building up this show. So even your diehards that are watching your product aren't really sure or don't have a great grasp of what's happening in your product currently. So when you have I think just a myriad of reasons why people shouldn't come, it's obviously going to hurt you a lot.
I mean, this is good for them I'm glad I can start watching Ring of Honor again, and it works out great for us because it comes on an hour before Raw, so, and even then I can watch it on demand, hopefully, before we do the podcast that night, so now I can go back into being in the ROH discussion with you guys, and just, I can be in tune with the TV, so now when I watch the pay-per-view, I'm not going to really have known any of the TV that's been happening, but, from this moment forward, I can. That's really cool, and that's going to be a cool thing for a lot of other people because this is worldwide. So a lot of people are going to be able to watch ROH now. And apparently I found out that if you have Roku, you can get the whole entire FITE network itself on Roku. So, all those things that we talked about, you can get them right there on the FITE network that we've talked about for previous weeks now. And just, I've talked about it a bunch of times with this New Japan thing. It's a short-term thing for them. Trying to make money off a name that's bigger than them and being able to use some of the ROH talent in Japan and all that stuff. And that's great. I mean, that's all good. But then again, it's the same thing. You're about to come back in 2 months to have New Japan people there again in 2 months for a bunch of shows, including that Field of Honor show. And then you're going to have them there in September too. So 2 straight months you're going to have New Japan. So that's the thing. You see this one pay-per-view where you don't have New Japan, you go, well, is it really that big a deal? And then not only that, your main event has no build. Okay, this is cool. 1 year in the making. It's first time. It's since the time Jay Lethal won the title, we hadn't faced Jay Briscoe, whatever. But it doesn't have this build that some of the other matches do, or just it doesn't feel. It feels like the big main event match because of who it is. But if you've been watching Jay Briscoe, he's been everywhere but in that singles realm, and so you're thinking, okay, well, this doesn't really make a lot of sense for Lethal to lose here. So that could be drawing people out of that too. Just who knows what the real true reason is, but that like Paul said, lots of reasons here for this not to be going that great for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a few, maybe 4 more things on this rapid hits. I'm going to go ahead and list them all out, and I'm going to let you guys kind of comment on maybe what you want to comment on. These are kind of little small tidbits. Really quickly, ACH, of course, is debuting in Noah. He's going to be joining the heavyweight tag team tournament. And, of course, we also have over there with Shibata in Japan. He'll be coming over with a New Japan roster to America to be a part of the Death to Dishonor because he did get his visa stuff worked out, so that's a positive thing for him. We also have news that Ivelisse is the new Shine champion, Paul. And, of course, the last thing we'll mention really quickly is the fact that UFC has their own podcast now, and it's called UFC Unfiltered. If you want to go check that out, there is an episode where Dana White kind of talks a little bit about that situation with Ariel Helwani, and it basically says in that show that really that was all about the fact that it was the fans who got left out of the surprise because of this man. That's why they got so upset. So that's a few things. You want to make any comments on those?
Shibata getting his U.S. work visa is great news for anybody who's a Ring of Honor fan or a New Japan fan. The dude's a beast. He's the really last big name that ROH hasn't gotten the chance to host over for the Ring of Honor show. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do with him. ACH in the Noah Junior Tag Tournament is going to be really cool. Hopefully this is a prelude to him being ROH's participant for the Super J Cup. And Ivelisse being the new Shine champion, could be happier. I try to keep tabs on Shine the best that I can. I really need to go watch that show. That's gotten some good reviews so far.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to make note about the FITE TV thing is that ROH has been talking to CMLL about getting people, and one of the things you can watch on that FITE TV thing is you can watch CMLL shows. So if you ever wanted to see Volador Jr. and Dragon Lee and other people doing their thing, even though Dragon Lee's hurt right now, doing their thing normally every week, you can watch them on that app for free. So that's another reason to, aside from other indies, and you can get like everybody's pay-per-view, like Evolve's pay-per-views and TNA's and everybody's on there. So it's like a one-stop shop thing for almost everybody's, but like WWE's. So not a bad thing just to have on your phone. If you go, oh, there's a wrestling pay-per-view, let me see if it's on there, and you pay for it, and there you go. And I think it also works on Xbox One, if I'm not mistaken. So, ACH being in that Noah thing is really cool. He's going to get to mix it up with the juniors in there, and hopefully I will get to see it eventually. This is the 10th time they've had that tournament, so it's a pretty big honor for ACH. And, perhaps, like Paul said, this will be ACH's way to get into that Super J Cup. And Ivelisse winning a title, that's always great. And I kind of gave my piece on the Ariel Helwani thing when it first happened. Dana White sticks to his story. I'm going to still err on the side of journalism, but I get it. Helwani was being a crybaby too. So, Helwani did that all for himself, going on Dan Patrick and all that stuff. He knew that he would eventually get enough public sentiment to get his credentials back. So, game well played there, sir.
Media using the media for their own gain. I get it.
Right? Yeah.
All right, guys, that is Quick Hits. And before we move on and talk some NXT, I want to throw a big shout out to a guy that I sadly missed out on saying this about on Monday. I want to congratulate and wish Lance Starkey, a guy that's a part of our group, a happy birthday, a good friend of mine. I feel so bad. I was going to mention it on Monday's show. I didn't do it, so it's belated, but, man, happy birthday to you. Best of wishes, man. All right, guys. Well, now it is time to talk some NXT. Let's do this thing.
WWE Developmental NXT.
All right, NXT. So some interesting things here on this NXT. Not as big as the one from last week, but still some things here. We get the debut of Oni Lorcan, of course, the former Biff Busick, Christopher Gerard, however it is you know him, taking on Ty Dillinger. That was the first match on this show. You also had No Way Jose squash Josh Woods, and Austin Aries dances with him and just clocks him. I'll save some stuff here, but Bailey squashing Deonna Purrazzo, Nia Jax with a nasty powerbomb, squashing Liv Morgan, and Shinsuke Nakamura squashing that Buddy Murphy. So, not too much on the match front, but what do you guys think there?
Ultimately, I really enjoyed this episode. The Ty Dillinger Oni Lorcan match. God, that's a weird ass wrestling name, by the way.
That's a mouthful. Just saying those two names. That's
I really enjoyed the double. You're expecting Ty to get the win here. Oni comes out and manages to get the surprise victory. Really keeps you on your toes. So I'm hoping that turns into a feud and one that you can sort of sink your teeth into, because both guys really deserve it. Even though Oni's fresh on the scene, Ty deserves somebody great to work with, and Biff Busick is just an amazing wrestler. I'm a big fan of Nia Jax. I think she's really grown by leaps and bounds, and my God, that power bomb is just absolutely sickening. Forget the leg drops, forget whatever other thing she's been using to finish. That's it. That was awesome.
I agree 100%. I mean, that is what she needs to do. That's her gimmick, that she's powerful, so give her a powerful move. I mean, the leg drop was never impressive. I don't care, Hulk Hogan, biggest star in the world, that still wasn't that impressive, let's be honest. So I just think that this is great. It matches her completely, and I just look at her as the future women's champion for NXT. I really do think that's going to eventually happen. I know a lot of other people think the same thing. No big news break here, but I just see it. I mean, I just see her getting to that point where she's getting close to having that belt around her waist. I really do.
I thought they added a nice touch with showing the match from TakeOver right before, too. Mm-hmm. Like, you get a little bit more of that, like, showing the Nia Jax being angry thing.
Yeah. Paul, you mentioned Ty Dillinger. I mean, I think it's so interesting because he's on this losing streak right now, and he's not doing great. Do we see a resurgence? Is there going to be some kind of situation where they're going to find a way to get this guy to really matter? Because we know he's one of the best workers or one of the best hands on NXT. This is the guy they put people with when they want to make them good,
Ultimately, I really hope that Ty finds his way to the main roster with this gimmick. It's so hard for me to see it not getting over. I'm okay with the losing gimmick so long as it has a good payoff. TNA has never had a good history of having a good payoff for this, but WWE's been pretty, I would say, more hit than miss on a losing streak angle. So I'm hopeful this goes really well for Ty. And like I said, I think him and Biff, you work this into a month or two long feud. I think you can elevate Biff and Ty at the same time here.
Yeah, I like that. Basically this episode was kind of interesting too because we had this whole thing with Austin Aries and I'm already
No Way Jose.
No Way Jose. I can never remember his name. I don't know why. I always think of the guy from the league every time I see him. Every time I think of the guy from the league. So anyway, I mean, this was pretty cool. I mean, I really at first, let's be honest, I thought, wow, this is kind of stupid because I really felt like Aries was going to turn on him pretty quickly. They waited all that time to finally have him do it. It made sense to me because at first I was really believing that Austin Aries is really getting cheesy here, or they're just going to let him do this and make it, the turn is going to happen later. No, they just waited till he gets on top of the table. to do that. So I mean, I think it's fine. I like it, and of course they even had a little extra footage of No Way Jose getting help to the back on their WWE.com, of course their YouTube channel too. So it's cool. I mean, to me, this is the best way to do it.
The No Way Jose Austin Aries thing was probably the absolute most entertaining thing on the show. Watching Austin Aries dance is just a treat. And if you've never seen him do it before, I recommend you go track it down.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Now, I mean, I do, like I said, I like the whole storyline, everything that kind of comes in with that too. So, not bad. I mean, also, of course, we get Bailey, and so that's nothing super special because it's Bailey winning. So out of all that, I mean, I think, like you said, Paul, I mean, really, honestly, the Austin Aries, No Way Jose, really a big highlight of this show.
We did get to hear Nakamura talk English, too, again, with Buddy Murphy in Regal's office. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, I did like that. I love Regal's like, better watch out what you wish for,
Yeah.
In which we all knew it was going to happen, right? In the main event, how was Nakamura not going to win it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there were quite a few squashes, let's be honest. Was it 3, 4? I know it was 3 for sure.
4.
Was it actually 4? Okay, so
yeah,
4.
4, the Aries No Way Jose thing afterwards, and then the one match that mattered.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, that's pretty much NXT. I mean, like we've been talking about, this is what's going to happen sometimes on NXT. You're going to have a little bit of build. That right now they're not building to a big pay-per-view kind of show yet. So this is kind of the growing pains you get to the next, big feuds and things like that. Plus, you didn't have your champion on this show, so a little bit more, kind of groundwork here. All right, well, let's move on. We are going to talk some Lucha Underground when we come back. And don't forget, we're also talking TNA, and we're going to crown a Superstar of the Week tonight. Be right back with Lucha.
All right, Paul.
Oh, yeah, Lucha's me. Sorry, I'm doing multiple things at once here. So on social media, Lucha Underground was hyping this up as Ladies' Night, and that is because of the main event involving all the ladies of Lucha Underground, which I thought was kind of cool. However,
I thought it was singles matches. They confused me.
They said Sexy Star and Mari Posa were going one-on-one, and Ivelisse and Taya were going one-on-one. Instead, it's a tag team. So you could say bait and switch, but maybe they're just whoever's running their social media needs to check his English, probably. That sounded kind of racist.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay, Paul. We won't say Rob. Don't worry.
Thanks, Gary. I appreciate it. We open the show. Dario is in his office. He's got a new luchador. His name is Nightclaw. He has a voice distorter when he speaks. He's from the Jaguar tribe, which is the same as Prince Puma, so there's a feud ready to be had there. Pretty much Nightclaw is going to be debuting at Ultima Lucha Dos, and Dario gives him one of the ancient Aztec medallions, and then the rest are going to be redistributed in the matches this evening, seeing as Cage has already cashed in his Gifts of the Gods title to have that wonderful match with Mio Muertes a couple weeks ago for that Lucha Underground Championship. And that leads us right into our first match, which is Daga taking on Mascarita Sagrada, who of course has Famous B and Brenda with him. You have Cobra Moon hovering over Dario's office stalking Daga because she's totally into that. And, what you get's a pretty fun little short match here. Daga ends up going over, making Mascarita tap to a crossface. And then you get a turn from Famous B, dropping his client literally, and he's going to be signing a legitimate client and make him famous. Thoughts?
Well, that's nice that, hey, we're finally doing this thing. We knew this was going to happen from the beginning. Of eventually, Mascarita Sagrada was going to lose so many times that Famously was going to get upset. And yeah, let's see if he really gets somebody else over. It's him, just him instead.
Yeah.
You like the Jaguar mask, Gary?
Yeah, that was kind of neat, honestly. I kind of like that. I just wish that Hearns was under it, not him. But anyway, no, I just hope that this new client, whoever it is, it does the famous chant, "Show me the money," Because I thought anytime I find a new client, I don't know why I thought Jerry Maguire all of a sudden. So I'm watching too much Preacher and Tom Cruise exploding, I think.
All fair.
So I was gonna say, did you just watch Jerry Maguire recently or something?
No, I'm not allowed to watch that movie.
Fair enough.
It's the Dallas Cowboys lose in that movie.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's sacrilegious. So.
Man, the last season of the NFL must have been rough for you, Gary. Anyways, Dario's meeting in the back with Dragon Azteca Jr. Dario is continuing the lie that his brother did not kill Dragon Azteca's parents, and Azteca, of course, is calling him a liar. So Azteca essentially wants Black Lotus one-on-one, and Dario makes it for Ultima Lucha Dos. And ultimately, Azteca says the true killer will come out that night, and he will exact his vengeance. So Dario, being his usual douchey self, and everybody loves that. And that leads us to our second match. Cortez Castro, Joey Ryan, and Mr. Cisco teaming up to take on Killshot, even. Marty the Moth and Sinestro de la Muerta. This is another fun little match that's got some storyline implications running across it. Killshot and Marty sort of have a little conversation that they need to work together so that way they can get the medals, and you have some dog tag trading to make peace. And ultimately, however, Killshot and Marty and Sinestro end up winning, and Marty takes the dog tags back at the end.
Yeah, Marty being Marty. Lying to get what he wants, and then, decides to just go against his friend there. This match was good. I enjoyed it. I mean, anything too special, but I like that they're continuing this story with Marty and Killshot. That's good. I'm glad when they have secondary stories and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I like it too. I thought it was really well done, and of course it's just Marty. I mean, I've just grown to be more and more of a fan of his. He just does such a great job. He's just a creep. I love it. And just you don't have to worry about correcting yourself with the whole Killshot thing, Paul. Just to let you know, my sister, she married a guy from Michigan, and they kind of have different ways of pronouncing things, A's and O's and things, and so she would say that maybe it's Killshot's okay. You can say that. It's similar, just like get in the car or things like that. But no, think about this, guys. If there's anybody that could put over a character by the name of Killshot, it's definitely Lucha Underground.
That's so true.
I mean, I can't think of anybody else who could do it as well as they could.
There's a large part of me that hopes it's just William Shatner under a mask, too.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing, Dario cut that promo. Or no, I love the fact that there's a killer coming. I thought of WCW and Chucky. Another reference from the past.
Gary's just never going to let WCW die.
Nope.
God bless you, Gary. So we move on to our main event from there. Sexy Star and Mariposa teaming up to take on Ivelisse and Taya. This is a really fun match. 10 minutes or so. I believe Sexy Star and Mariposa are the ones that go over. Mariposa puts Ivelisse away with the air raid crash, and then throws Star pretty much on top of her to get the win. You have issues all over this match, but it's another good job by Lucha Underground working it all in. Not only the feuds, but towards the Aztec Medallion stuff as well.
Yeah, this was a fun match. I enjoyed it. We don't ever really get the women so much fighting each other, other than in special matches. And this was like one of those fun things that Lucha Underground can do. Put them all four in the ring at once. They all have, Taya has that history with Ivelisse, and Sexy Star and Mariposa, of course, have that. And They all worked. It all worked really well together, and I enjoyed this. It was good stuff. I thought Navy Release and Ty would win, but alas.
Yeah. I was entertained. I didn't have a problem with it. It wasn't, one of my favorite things of all time or anything, but it was good. I mean, it made sense. That's the good thing about this, honestly. It had points, and the story was there. It wasn't just like this meant nothing. It definitely had some meaning to it. So, positive ending.
And they did that Gift of the Gods reforming really quick.
Yeah, I mean, Ultima Lucha Dos, of course, is just around the corner. That's going to be in 3 parts. And, just to sort of sum up, I guess you do have all 7 medallions awarded. You have Nightclaw, you have Nadaga, Killshot, Marty the Moth, Sexy Star, Mariposa, and Sinestro de la Muerta. So you'll have that big 7-way match that we got at the last Ultima Lucha, I would assume, as well for the championship. But the show is not over yet because Prince Puma finally gets to open his mouth on screen in the ring in front of all the people, which is a very cool moment. And he only really wants one thing, and that is a match with Rey Mysterio. And he wants to know who the better man is, essentially, which is just an absolutely perfect match for Ultima Lucha. Prince, of course, wants to know if he's better than Rey. Rey wants to know if he is still as good as he used to be. Rey, I can tell you the answer is no. But I'm sure him and Puma will be able to put on something memorable for Ultima Lucha.
Oh, this is gonna be. This is one of those like dream matches, right? Of Rey against Puma, and that's exactly what you want this match to be. I'm all for it.
Yeah, definitely. And I could answer the question for both of them. I know kind of already answered it for Rey, but I mean, I could even answer it for Puma because we all know the better man in this whole scenario is Chavo. So,
and with that, that's your Lucha Underground.
Gary just tanked the segment.
Hey, come on, WCW Chavo was great. Anyway, we're gonna move on, like you guys said. A great episode of Lucha Underground, though. Once again, top notch. We're going to talk some TNA Impact. Is this top notch? We'll find out that question next.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
All right, TNA this week. So they had the thing from last week that happened where Drew Galloway is basically blaming EC3 sort of for the loss. So Lashley says that why don't you guys get in a team? And I'll have a partner, and whoever, if me and my partner win, who I'm partnering with will get the title shot. If you guys win, you'll get individual title shots. And so the rest of the evening is spent after this tag match, which Lashley picks Eli Drake as his partner. God, can we stop carrying the stupid belt around your back like that? It's just dumb.
I just wish Lashley was better at making choices.
That too. Lastly, I don't know what to tell you, man. You would have been better off. But the match was good. I enjoyed the match for what it was. I mean, it wasn't anything special, but you got Carter and Galloway, their team winning, so they get the title shots. And the rest of the night was basically like Lashley and Galloway and EC3 kind of going backstage, all kind of messing with each other and whatever, all talking to each other about, okay, I want to get the title shot. Hey, it makes the title feel important that they're all fighting over it, and that's really good. And then, of course, Dixie tells Lashley that, man, sorry, but we gotta get the biggest rating we possibly can. Hey, if WWE can do it, TNA, why don't you? Talk about your ratings on TV. That we need the biggest thing we can get, so triple threat match next week. on Impact. That is your main storyline going throughout the show. What did you guys think of how they did this?
Gary, go ahead. I'm about to sneeze.
All right, so we get this match that takes place at the beginning, and I think it was great. Like Sean said, it was good. It was highly entertaining. Everybody involved was pretty well. When it comes to in-ring action. So I even Eli Drake, I'm not a fan of his work a whole lot. He's okay, but he's just not great. But even he did an okay job here. So it definitely was not boring. The opening segment at times kind of made me yawn a little bit, just because Lashley does not thrill me on the mic. Let's be honest, but that was never a strong point. So we get what we get here. Yeah, I mean, this does the entire night make the title feel important. So, I mean, I think it's okay. I mean, for the most part, this is what you need for your show. You need for that main title to matter. They did a good job of, kind of propping it up all throughout the night, talking about it. So I was down, and, it's kind of cool also to have, your world champion in the first match. It's something you don't see all the time.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Eli is just here to eat the pinfall, and what a fall he takes. He eats a Claymore and a 1%er, and he's dead, and, I'm doing a small happy dance because that means I don't have to see him for the rest of the show. Yeah, and you can't go wrong when you're taking your three best-built guys, you're going to throw them in a match together.
But that's also your King of the Mountain champion you're having lose there.
I think that just shows you how bad they are in the mid-card right now.
And does that championship matter to anyone?
I mean, but you need to make it matter at some point.
I mean, you put it on somebody people care about, you might. At this point with Eli, it's a dead fish. I mean, there's nothing happening there. Mm-hmm. Lashley, EC3, Drew Galloway, they're your three best guys in the company right now. They're your three best built guys in the company right now. So there's no losers here. I think you just got to be careful with how you book out that triple threat. You don't want to do anything to make Lashley look silly. Also, I'm sure you got to keep EC3 strong because he's going to be your challenger moving forward. So that means Drew might have to take a little bit of a step back here.
Yeah. This was well done throughout the night. I'm excited now for this triple threat that's happening next week. Mm-hmm. So, of course, your main event was the Hardy versus Hardy 6 Sides of Steel match. Another good match. I mean, they tried to do some crazy stuff in here. Jeff climbed with a ladder up the cage to knock it on Matt. And he splashed Matt to the tables to win. Lots of back and forth here, but it was really Jeff Hardy doing a lot here to just make sure he put Matt away. How did you guys like the way that they had Rebby come out and present broken Matt Hardy to you with Maxwell basically on her back with the baby Bjorn and all that?
That poor kid.
Oh
yeah,
that poor kid. I really just hope this feud's over. Slammiversary felt like a definitive end. This has just felt like an epilogue that feels tacked on and you don't really need. Jeff hopefully is it ready to move on, and you can have a despondent Matt Hardy do whatever you want at this point. But please be over.
Yeah, and why is Rebby so thrilled about broken Matt Hardy? I mean, you would think she'd be the one person who would be like, okay, this guy kind of sucks. Like, look at his hair now. Look at his, he's got white in it now.
She's trying to show Jeff that he has broken him. So she wants to,
But you're supposed to gain sympathy, not fights. I mean, if you're going for that.
I know what you're saying, but I think this isn't a case where he just got depressed because he sucks or whatever. This is a case where his own brother made him become broken, so she's supporting her husband in making sure that Jeff understands that it's his fault.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right about that. I just, after this loss, where do we go from here? Because you would think Matt's shattered now because he can't beat his brother.
I would assume that's what we're going with here.
So, I mean, that terrifies me to think that we're going to continue with this.
I mean, what do you do with Jeff Hardy? I mean, it's not like you already have your main event scene. Figure, what are you going to do, Jeff and Eli Drake again, I guess? I mean, just...
you got a point, but I mean, on the other hand, I'm looking at Jeff and I'm thinking, okay, well, if you can't do Jeff, do Willow.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just... I get it. They're very limited. This roster only has a certain number of players that are really, let's be honest, top stars. And that's just the way it is, but maybe you find some young stars to elevate. I don't know. You got to do something.
I mean, I think Mike Bennett might be an option at this point, too.
Yeah, that's true. He's trying to kind of go through all the big names in TNA, so that would be an option. I could see Dixie kind of come up with that and going, well, guess what? You're going to face Jeff Hardy. But, Mike Bennett was involved in a pretty big thing during the show, which I guess is going to be a storyline throughout this. We don't know how long with, Maria and Mike Bennett having problems with TNA management. And Billy Corgan being out there being the heel authority figure and Dixie kind of being the face authority figure, and Dixie, doing her thing, basically no selling the lawsuit from Mike Bennett and Maria, with Bennett saying, "Hey, I don't have to pay legal fees because my dad is a lawyer," and basically Billy Corgan has to tell her, "Hey, watch it. This is not a thing that you need to worry about." And Mike Bennett all of a sudden learns about Option C. I'm glad he's been paying attention to TNA. That's good that he's been watching the product. And he tells all the keyboard warriors that who cares? I can be an exhibition wrestler if I want to. And yeah, so basically Billy Corgan tries not to, tries not to act like he's being the heel authority figure, but he is, and he gives Bennett the match. And then Mike Bennett proceeds to become exhibition champion thanks to a whole lot of grabbing the ropes and Maria holding on to make sure that he gets the pin. Thought the match was fine, but yeah, looks like we got Bennett going for that option C.
Pope makes one of the most incredible calls I've ever heard in my life. Eddie Edwards does the dive to the outside and calls him a hot shot of caffeine, Daddy. Just the best.
Think about how this makes Eddie Edwards look, though.
Yeah, I mean, they've put Mike Bennett in a sort of elevated position if they're going to have Eddie try to chase going into Destination X in a sort of short-term thing. Maybe it's a way to keep Eddie and elevate him at the same time.
Yeah. Don't think that's bad.
I don't think so either. I think it'd be something that would really work, and people would actually be interested in it very much so. So I think this is good. I mean, I think they had a pretty good match as well. I mean, it worked out the way it needed to, and it's kind of interesting to see this whole Billy Corgan being the heel authority figure. It makes complete sense, though, because of all the things they've had with Maria going and seeing him at his concert and, things like that. So, I mean, I think the only thing that could elevate TNA is for them to showcase, maybe Maria backstage. Maybe they'll call it TNA After Dark. Instead of Big Brother After Dark, TNA After Dark. Hey, you could get subscriptions for that.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Trust me, the Japanese love Maria. They'll pay for it.
Well, they're pretty much doing that with Gabby, sort of.
Oh, yep.
So, she's your literal TNA for the show. She's basically leading the romance around, basically doing that. Marty Bell and Jade had their match. Again, nothing too special, but at least they're they continued the feud here.
Jade's heat with Marty on Twitter is absolutely unreal. Just they spew some pretty violent hate speech on there. It's pretty awesome. I'd recommend giving them a follow. I thought the match was fine. We're all setting up and going somewhere still, so interesting to be in a knockouts feud that doesn't have to directly deal with the championship, but still has some interest around it.
Yeah, and it felt like a fight too, because they were using the baton, they were throwing each other around the floor, all that stuff. So they were really getting into that, really selling the fact that they were heated at each other.
Mm-hmm.
So well done.
Very well done, and that aggression makes it work. So I think we're all in favor of that. And I wanted to throw this out, a couple of things. Just by the way, Maria helping Michael Bennett in that match. Dana Brooke, pay attention. That's how you do it. And then, of course, when we go and talk about Robbie E in this segment with, that segment was okay. He's going through the book bag and everything, trying to figure out. But then again, is this too cheesy for you guys? Because it was silly, but that's what we expect from that, right?
Go ahead, Paul.
Silly is, I think, in their MO right now. So, that's... I don't have a problem with it. It works right into the bromance wheelhouse. They're silly, they're fun, they're a great tag team.
That's their thing.
Are they going to have heat between each other again, though, because of this? I mean, or is this
I
just
bet
something
that's
they're
what
gonna
this
blow
is leading to. There's going to be some...
Jeez, come on. Why? They just got these guys back together.
Yeah, they don't work individually very well either.
I agree. Either that or they're going to be bromans or be like bros before hoes and just,
Maybe so. I'm hoping that's the way it's going. I hope it's a big misunderstanding. Like, she's don't tell him and then it's a big surprise. Like she has, a gift for him. Robbie that they didn't want him to know about. Things like that,
I should also say they did a really good job of hyping up the women's title match, the Knockouts title match next week with the video package on Sienna. I thought that was really good. Showing her like MMA fighting background and all that stuff. That was well done.
Yeah, that was.
We get Braxton Sutter supposed to face Balam or Lince Dorado, but Rockstar Spud comes out and goes, "Whoa, man, take your $50 and go back to the Indies. I'm gonna face Braxton Sutter here." And yeah, this Spud he was whooping on some Sutter. Even though Sutter got the win, but afterwards he spits on him and low blows him and hits him with his belt and stuff. Just, man, Rockstar Spud is awesome.
Yeah, have I mentioned that before, how much I love Rockstar Spud? I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, so you don't need Grado on here or Al Snow. Just freaking put some Rockstar Spud in here.
Yeah, amen. I'd second that motion.
Yeah, I mean, I could care less about Braxton Sutter, but, man, Rockstar Spud is great.
I forgot to mention, I forgot to put it in here, that apparently there's rumors going around that TNA might switch nights again.
Yeah. I just don't imagine you're going to find, with this roster being so limited, you're going to find a way to compete with Live SmackDown.
Especially with all the hype around the brand split. It move it or lose it,
Mm-hmm. Wednesday is the perfect night for them, I think. Do it at 9, you're after Lucha Underground, after NXT, you got your own thing. And it's still a wrestling night.
Yeah.
And just grow your audience from there. I just don't think that they have enough. I mean, look, it's only the first hour of TNA that's going up against them. But it's just, I think eventually they're going to have to move because it's going to hit them.
Right.
There was something else that TNA does have tapings now up until August, so that's good for them, at least. And they re-signed a bunch of people to exclusive contracts, including Al Snow. So, we know.
Oh, man.
We know that coach gimmick is still going to be around.
I was really hoping to see Al Snow being one of those 40-pluses back in WWE.
Oh, God. Please, no.
Yeah.
I do not want him, going off on the crowd on Raw. Can you imagine that?
I just imagine
just being like, Can you imagine him going off on that crowd, telling them like, "You don't know what that means. Shut up."
I don't know. I love it anyway. Everybody loves Ed.
Oh, okay, Gary.
That's true.
That's true. No. So the Decay, they sort of, last week talked about like, okay, well, there's this guy, he needs to decay, whatever. And it turns out it's Bram. And Bram sort of makes it seem like he's going to go with him, and then he's like, oh, no, man, I'm Bram. I don't need any of this. But then the Decay beat him up. So,
I think it's a great choice. I when they were saying they wanted to choose somebody, and I was thinking to myself, okay, who could it be possibly? And then they mentioned Bram. I thought, you know what? I would love this human makeup. He'd be terrifying in makeup. I really do. But this makes sense. They have to have someone to feud with, and hey, I think it'll be kind of fun. I mean, him and Abyss would have some pretty good matches, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good choice for Bram to feud with. I still kind of wish he had the King of the Mountain title with him, but you are where you are with these guys, and the Decay, they're a pretty hot thing in TNA right now. So anything you want to do with them, I'm on board with.
You know what's so funny? Sean, when I think of the Decay, I think of one of the better parts of TNA. But on the other hand, I see them, and every time they come out with their music, I think it goes back to my high school days, in the late '90s, and it's like, oh my God, this is kind of outdated in a way. But then again, it's not. This whole goth kind of thing, painting your face white, was a huge thing when I was in the high school in the late '90s. But man, I mean, it works now, but still, to me, the Marilyn Manson music, it just takes me back.
I agree with you. But it all fits with them. That's what works. I like the Marilyn Manson music. I like the way the Decay is. Rosemary was wonderful in this segment. And I like the fact that, you got Crazy Stephen Abyss getting a little jealous, and obviously she's the one that talks to the one that has voices in her head and all that. So, they kind of have to trust her. So, I think the way that they do it is, so far they have not made a wrong step with Decay yet. So, I think we sort of talked about everything. So, that's it.
Yeah, I think you're right. So, but yeah, that's TNA. Of course, we'll find out what happens with more TNA next week.
Yeah, next week, that big title match. See if Drew Galloway gets more points.
Exactly. Talking about more points, we got a Crown of Superstar of the Week this week, guys, and we got some interesting names for you. So we'll be right back with Superstar of the Week next.
See, I gave you a great segue.
Thank you, Sean.
Segue.
Superstar of the Week.
All right, guys. So here we are, and we are going to find out who gets some good points here. At number 1, at 1 point, Kushida. Paul, what do you think about that?
Kushida had a successful title defense against Will Ospreay on Dominion this past Sunday. Not as good as their first match. Ultimately, still one of the best matches on the show, but there's a lot of other good stuff ahead of him on this list.
Well, 2 points, Shibata, Paul. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, Shibata had a freaking great match with Yuji Nagata, and he got the Never title back. And it seems like that feud with the dads is over, so now he can move on.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. The dads, I love that. And so here we go with 3 points, guys. We have Michael Elgin.
Wins his first reign with the IWGP Intercontinental title in a ladder match against Kenny Omega. It's an outstanding ladder match. It's totally worth your time. Even just to watch Kenny Omega bounce like a super ball off those Japanese tables. It's a wonderful match. It's super Americanized in front of a Japanese audience that just eats up every bit of it, and it's absolutely worth your time. And congratulations to Michael Elgin, of course. A well-deserved title for him.
With 4 points, and now this one is great, just like our 5-pointer, but Okada. What do you think, Sean?
Oh, well, the big controversy of the entire show. Should Okada have won the title? Should he not? I was totally in favor of him winning just because of what it does for Naito in the G1 and what it does for the G1 in general. And another great match there between these two. So far they have not gone wrong.
This is the first time on Superstar of the Week that I think the points are wrong. I think Naito should have been here. This should be -4 because Naito is still my champion.
That's right. Gary does not recognize the title change because he did not watch the match.
And I won't. So, you guys can continue in La La Land, but Naito is still the champ. So anyway, 5 points goes to, guess who? Dean Ambrose. Not only was he the Money in the Bank winner, but he cashed in to become WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Paul.
Yeah, just a huge night for Dean. Whether any of the drama with Roman had anything to do with this, it's undeniable that Dean deserves this. Even if you've been following him from the indie circuit, he's a wonderful talent, somebody who I really hope gets a lot of good shine, even if his title reign is short. With this thing, a transitional champion doesn't have to be a death sentence. Hopefully, he can find a way to stick out, and WWE will continue to book him in a stronger position because of this.
It is amazing. Dean Ambrose was the guy that we thought may be on this list, he is Superstar of the Week because of doing 2 great feats in one show, and of course, not doing a bad job on Monday Night Raw either. So, great stuff. Dean Ambrose, congratulations. You are our Superstar of the Week this week, and so that's cool. Dean's got 5 points now, Paul. I mean, at least that kind of builds him up a little bit. Do you know where he's at right now?
Yeah, Dean is at 12. That has him tied with Shinsuke at 12, and then Okada, Kushida are at 13, which I believe puts him in a tie for 5th, if I'm reading this correctly. So I mean, a lot of guys who were in the middle of the pack breaking out towards the top, but Drew at 32 is still he's head and shoulders above everybody else so far.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. That's kind of an update on what's going on with our Superstar of the Week and, of course, our ratings on what's going to happen. We're getting some good stuff going there. All right. Well, that's our show, guys. We've done a lot of great stuff tonight. We've had a lot of great conversations. Of course, don't forget, we are going to be back on Monday night live on Spreaker.com. Of course, you can catch us on the download Tuesday morning. And also, of course, we're going to have another great Thursday show, of course, next week as well. Now, just a heads up for people, we're still trying to figure out our 4th of July plan. That, of course, is a holiday, a Monday night. So it just depends. We're still working out the details. We may have a delay. We may not. We may just be, on normal time every night, so it just depends. We'll keep you updated on that. Plus, we do want to give you guys a big surprise, and we'll announce this more. But we do, at this point, plan on doing a show, of course, the Monday night after Raw before the live draft on SmackDown. And then after SmackDown, we'll do a special post-game draft review for you guys. So not only are you going to get double the action on Monday, but you're also going to get a little bit of a show on that SmackDown the following night. So that'll be, of course, July 19th. Be looking out for that. We want to give you guys that heads up just in case, maybe we don't mention it next week or something. We should, though. We'll get to all the final details all planned out and let you guys know everything that's going to entail that. And, of course, we want you also to remember, please go rate and review. That always helps us. And, of course, subscribe to the W2M Network. It's growing, and we have a lot of great shows on there you don't want to miss. And Sean's about to tell you about some of the great things coming up.
Yeah, we did Mark and I did a Video Games to the Max yesterday, talking about kind of post E3, what's going on. We didn't get to talk about Nintendo's, what they did at E3, so we discussed that. I sell myself on Tokyo Mirage Sessions, so now I might actually go buy that later today. Don't know, still deciding on that or not, but big fan of both those games that it's based off of. And we're doing a football show here shortly, doing our running back draft running back core draft after we did the quarterback draft the previous show, and on Monday we'll be doing our receiver core draft. So that should be fun. But yeah, did we mention that. Just want to mention again, if you were looking for a Ring of Honor preview, that was on our Monday show. So make sure you go look for that 200 Part 1, and there's timestamps there, and you can go listen to our Ring of Honor preview right before that Ring of Honor pay-per-view that happens later tonight. So that'll be our big review that we'll be doing on the Monday show along with Raw. So.
Yes, and thank you, Sean. And, Sean always does a great job of putting all the information that you need to know in the description there, so you have every detail you need. If you ever have any questions on what we're covering on the show, it's always right there in the description. You don't miss anything. Of course, it helps also you going back and looking up information from the show. So. Well, guys, that is it. We have a lot of great stuff coming up next week. I can't wait for next week's shows, but that's it for us tonight. So for myself, for Sean, for Paul, we just want you guys to always remember, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all,
you know it.
Peace.